Educators and ed leaders, are you ready to revolutionize the way we teach and learn? Join us at South by Southwest EDU 2025, the must-attend event where education meets bold innovation. This year's conference and festival is packed with groundbreaking keynotes and featured sessions on topics like tackling AI in the classroom, rethinking student assessment, and the future of teacher well-being. Plus, connect one-on-one with thought leaders through personalized mentor sessions, enjoy a host of networking opportunities, watch trailblazing competitions, and so much more. Mark your calendars for March 3rd through 6th, 2025 in Austin, Texas, and register now at southbysouthwestedu.com. That's SXSWEDU.com. Let's work together to shape the future of education, one idea at a time.
Good afternoon, everyone. You are listening to the Getting Smart podcast, and we're so glad you're here. I'm Jordan Lester, and today I'm joined by my esteemed colleague and partner in all things microschools, Victoria Andrews.
Hey.
Together, we've been leading the charge on a lot of microschool work here at Getting Smart, and we are excited to bring you into an inspiring conversation about what's next for this transformative movement. Today, we are thrilled to be joined by the one and only Coi Morefield, the incredible founder of the Lab School of Memphis. Victoria, why don't you share a little bit more about Coi and some of the amazing work that she's doing?
Sure. Coi is from Chicago, but she has been in Memphis for a couple of years. And during her time in Memphis, she's become the founder of the Lab School of Memphis. And she's the entrepreneur in residence at the Beacon Center. She's a fellow of the Black Minds Matter McLeod Fellowship. She is a YAS Stop Prize Award winner and a recipient of many educational grants. And today she's here to talk with us about an exciting new offering that she has for leaders that are in the microschooling space. And I won't go into too much detail because Coi is going to go into all of the details. So Coi, we are so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
We're going to start off with just asking a question. What is your vision for adult learning?
Okay. So, as you mentioned, I'm the founder of the Lab School of Memphis and now founder of Microschool Masters. And what we are doing at Microschool Masters is tackling one of the biggest challenges in this rapidly growing movement, and that is how to both develop and retain exceptional educators that can deliver on the unique promise of microschool education.
Microschools in general have, and we've talked extensively about this, the history of microschools, how they were birthed out of enslaved populations not having access to learning environments, and those that were in those environments taking the charge and providing those opportunities for young people. But we often overlook, what does the learning look like for the adults in that space? How are they equipped to be the best person so that they can share their collective brilliance to the young people in that space? But you're tackling that face and head on. And if Coi, she doesn't do anything small, so she is going with all of the gusto in the world. Can you talk to us about how this came to be and how are you hoping to share it?
Sure. So, after seeing other founders, but primarily myself experiencing teacher turnover upwards of $14,000 per replacement, and watching others even hit growth ceilings because they were not effectively able to transfer their vision to their teaching team, I knew that we needed a solution. We, as in the Lab School of Memphis, but also my counterparts in this space. Our platform, Microschool Masters, helps founders to really transform their teaching teams into exceptional teachers, but also leaders that can really deliver on this promise of microschooling that is personalized and innovative. It's fascinating to me that the very things that make microschools so attractive, things like the fact that they're small and personalized, and something like 8-to-1 on average student teacher ratios. Those things that make these spaces so exciting are actually the things that make traditional teacher training or traditional PD inadequate. What we are doing in the ways that we're supporting someone in an environment with an 8-to-1 teacher ratio is very different from what we're doing and how we're supporting someone with 25 or 30-to-1, right? That piece of the micro school model makes us inherently misaligned with what's being offered traditionally. But of course, we know, or research has shown, that structured teacher development programs increase retention to 25% from 8% without it, right? So it's necessary to have this, but also we don't want just anything. We want something that really is customized, and we want for founders to have a way to translate the fundamentals, not only of the model, but also of the mindset.
So we talk about mindset shifts. What does that look like in application when we're talking about adult learning? And how do we actually help shift those mindsets of the adults so that they can in turn do the same thing for the young people that they're in service to?
That's interesting because what you're hitting on is absolutely what I have found. It's not just a numbers problem, right? It's not just a matter of turnover, but it is also a matter of training teachers for a completely different system. So we are not just asking teachers to be content or grade level experts like in a traditional environment. In a micro school space, we're asking teachers to be entrepreneurial, to have that entrepreneurial mindset. We're asking them to be curriculum designers. We're asking them to be experts in communicating with parents. We're asking them to be customer service representatives, brand ambassadors, right? There's a different level of personalization that is happening. So by offering these very tailored courses and doing so in a conversational way. So you can think of micro school masters similar to masterclass, but for micro school teachers. So the library is full of courses that have individuals like myself and my esteemed peers sitting and speaking in a conversational way, sharing stories and tools and strategies and resources as they would with a colleague. These are easily digestible. You can play them in the car, bite size, and just grab a few gems and continue on your way. But at the same time, we are very conscious of the need for that sort of safety and compliance component too, right? So, yes, we want to make sure that you are bought into the model, you are bought into the mindset, you're developing yourself as an innovative educator. But particularly as we grow and as this industry of micro schooling grows, safety and compliance are important as well. So, some of our courses in the library are around things like abuse and neglect reporting, first aid, bloodborne pathogens, data privacy, ethics, those sorts of compliance related trainings that at this point are not federally mandated, but we commonly consider them best practice, both in education and in private industry. And I think it's really important that educators and founder educators start considering these things. No one wants to think about being sued, right? I certainly don't want to. However, if you are, and there is an issue with something that has happened with your employee, or a former employee decides to bring case against you, being able to demonstrate that you have taken proactive steps to educate them with the relevant, necessary requirements and trainings, that matters. That's how you end up continuing to run your business and not being forced out of it.
Yes.
I really love that you mentioned the compliance because that was literally the next question I was going to ask around how you're supporting with that. I know that, there have been several surveys published recently that talk about, this struggle around governance and compliance and business acumen that micro school leaders have to have that, like you said, are not traditionally taught in some of those more traditional systems. And so I can really appreciate that. The library, the resource library sounds amazing. I'm wondering what other tools and features does Micro Schools Masters offer to support teachers and founders?
So, the way that the courses are built, and I do have to say rather shamelessly that when I say it's like masterclass for micro school educators, it really is. The sets are beautiful and it is high quality film and production and looks fantastic. But along with those courses are workbooks, checklists, real tangible resources. There are even scripts. So with our excellence in service course, there is a list of scripts to help support around language and framing because what we know as founders is we cannot be everywhere. And so we've seen micro schooling grow by 300% since 2019, right?
Mhm.
But the ultimate bottleneck, the ceiling in the microschooling world will absolutely be full of founders because all of the information, the savvy, the language, the know how will live and die with us. And that is just not sustainable. We talk a lot about sustainability, but it's so important to lean into the sustainability that comes from ensuring that as you are growing to serve more learners and potentially at more sites, you standardize a level of training that not only increases buy-in and preparation to be a part of your environment, but also a CYA, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a thing.
Yeah. And we're huge fans of codification and making sure that all the knowledge does not lie within one person, capitalizing on the collective genius and making sure that like like you said, if you're planning to grow and to scale that you don't we don't have to just take Coi and put her over here. Like we've built a system and of best practices that can be shared, whether it's in a Google Drive or utilizing whatever resource you want to use. But there's so much power in codification so that the vision and the dream can live beyond this one person and continue to be in service to the community and the families. Jordan, I know you probably had another question. I can already see it. So go ahead.
I do. In just hearing about there are several themes around like collaborative and collectivism within this micro school sphere. And so I'm wondering what opportunities for like networking and collaboration are going to come from this. Will this establish more of like a network for your students, your founders? But yeah, that's something that I see it, but I'm wondering if it's there.
Yes, I'm glad you asked that. And when you just mentioned the students, as in the adults, I realized that I glazed over something that I want to make super clear because this is new in our space. And we see a lot of people supporting founders in terms of start off and establishing and systems to get started. So I do want to be clear in that while our customer or purchasing agent is likely the founders or owners, the end user truly is the teachers. The end user truly is the teaching teams and how we save ourselves some time and some money beyond the sunk costs in turnover and replacing these individuals. So, in terms of community, we've been thinking a lot about how to do that. And there are some more traditional ways as far as offering opportunities to join our group on LinkedIn to have those conversations and sharing of resources, but also opportunities to come together either monthly or quarterly in Q&A sessions with our instructors that would be for purchase, but as an additional bonus or perk of being a part or being subscribed to Microschool Masters is really having the opportunity to get direct access to these experts in Q&As and ask questions and help to solve some of the more immediate problems that teachers are facing day to day. So that is absolutely a part of it. I consider it a privilege to serve in the capacity that I do. I consider it a privilege to have an opportunity to support and develop the teachers that are a part of my team here at the Lab School. And part of my value system is really that no one would be overlooked and to serve in a way that no one is overlooked. And so continuing to build out community among educators is super important and is absolutely a part of this. I think a really unique way in approaching community also is with our instructors. So as I am reaching out and we're inviting people in to share their expertise, first of all, our model is such that they are well compensated for their expertise and intellectual property. And that is so important. Very often we hear conversations around how little people are earning or how little people are paying themselves. But when we have an opportunity to invite them in or to engage on a platform or to participate in something with us, we are not going first in terms of modeling what it looks like to really honor someone's expertise and honor their professional journey by simply compensating them and doing so the best that you can. I look at that as a means of building community as our guest instructors come in and partner and offer their knowledge and information, the ability to work with them alongside them in building out their courses, in determining these stories to share. That strengthens the bonds between those of us who have been at it a while and undoubtedly face some battle fatigue. I think there's even community in that amongst those who are lending their expertise to the platform.
Like, there's so much to unpack here. But Victoria, I'm gonna hand it over to you because I know you're burning.
This is it's exciting to see that the same design principles that you have in building the Lab School Memphis, you're applying that to the learning for adults and not just the founders, like you said, the students, which are in turn the educators or the teachers at the various micro schools too, and really wanting to shake things up in the PD world and the adult learning space. Too often, the best practices we do with young people are not the practices we do with educators and adults. So to see you really providing actionable where they can learn wherever whether they're driving and that's going to meet the needs and help build community. I just applaud you and I'm excited to see what else is going to happen next. So many educators often leave workshops or facilitations just awash in information. And it sounds like you guys are really trying to just mitigate that and make sure that you're being responsive to how learning has just shifted and continues to shift over time. So just kudos to you and the team. And I'm excited to see the offerings that you guys have. If y'all are rivaling the masterclass offerings, that's exciting because that scrolls on my Instagram a couple of times a week. So this is great, Coi. I'm very excited for you. As we can begin to come to a close, are there any parting words you want to give to any founders or anybody that might be interested? How can they get in contact with you to learn more, not just about Microschool Masters, but anything that you're doing?
Yes. So, in terms of reaching me, contacting me, I am on LinkedIn, my name, Coi Morefield, and I am on Instagram. My children are there with me, but I'm okay with that too. Coi
But
Morefield.
your kids are cute, so it's all good.
Okay, there we go. Graham, the Lab School of Memphis as well. I can be reached in any of those spaces. If I might, I did also want to just illuminate something again from a sort of operational standpoint for the founders who are listening. And I understand that not every founder is at the growth stage or at a place where they are adding team members or have enough team members where they believe that they can justify the expense because it's an investment, right? But I do just want to point out something that we don't often think about in terms of the cost of turnover. I mentioned that platforms like this, having access to professional development, the subscription is an entire year, and you have access to everything. And as everything gets updated and courses are added monthly, all of that is at your fingertips all of the time. No extra for this or that. It's all yours and belong to your staff to repeat as needed. But in the absence of things like this, I think that is what really motivated me to move. So let me just break it down this way real quickly. Let's say you're paying a teacher, maybe they're not certified, maybe they're part time or someone that's come in as an educator, $20 an hour. That's pretty standard in micro school world. And you may think, okay, I have to replace this person. It isn't working out. We're misaligned. And the cost of that is maybe a few job posts and some training time, right? But the actual cost of that is around like $14,000. And here's how. So, in replacing them, you're not only paying for job posts, you're not only paying for interviews and background checks, but the real killer is those hidden costs like teachers to cover those classes or reduced productivity as the new person gets up to speed. A piece of that is like sunk costs, but like 10,000 of that you never get back in having people cover those classes. We know that coming in for the first 3 months, a teacher on average, a new teacher is at about 60% of their productivity level or the productivity potential. They're
Yeah.
right around 60% for about 3 months, right? And this isn't their fault. But the thing about that is that costs money. So that 40% gap as you're getting them up to speed over 3 months costs you about $3,000. So multiply that a few times a year. And how do you not find a way, make room, whether it's micro school masters or not, develop, use something is all that I'm saying is that this is next. This is what will ultimately, I believe, stall the growth and sustainability of micro schools nationwide.
I love how Victoria asked if you had any parting words or any final words for leaders, and she just dropped several gems. Several gems. Like, we could have a whole separate podcast on that alone and some of the guidance that you gave. But as we come to an end, I just want to thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing the amazing work that you're doing. I feel like your servant leadership and dedication is so empowering. And I'm looking forward to how it will empower and inspire others. It's clear that you're not just helping founders to, and teachers to thrive, but also making a lasting impact in this micro school landscape. And so I'm just excited for our listeners. Please check out microschoolmasters.com. I'm excited to see how you all continue to grow and support micro schools in meaningful ways. And I just want to thank you again for your time. And we can't wait to follow your success, right?
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me. You guys are amazing.
Always.
Thanks for tuning in to the Getting Smart podcast today. We want this podcast to be actionable, insightful, and a great way to learn about what's next in learning. In order to stay on the cutting edge, we need people in the field to tell us what they're hearing, what they're wanting, and what they're needing to learn more about. Got a topic or a guest in mind? Send your recommendations to me, Mason at gettingsmart.com. And if you like what you're hearing, don't forget to leave a review in Apple Podcasts or subscribe wherever you listen. Feel free to share the podcast on social media using the hashtag GSPodcasts. Thanks so much.